This is Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you have an existing estate plan or are in the market for one, Todd Lutsky is here to answer your questions and help you plan for later life. Ask Todd is presented by Cushing Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 35 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Visit CushingDolan.com. Now, here's Todd Lutsky.
And we are now joined by the one and only Todd Lutsky from the law firm of Cushing and Dolan. The segment is Ask Todd, and it's called that because you get to ask Todd your questions. We've got the phone lines open for you at 888-205-2263. Last week, I believe we had one, maybe two people that we didn't get to. So if you happen to be one of those people, call 888-205-2263. Get in line right at the beginning to make sure that we get to you. If you don't happen to be one of those people and you're saying, gee, I've got a question for Todd, well, again, 888-205-2263. That is the number to call to ask Todd your estate planning questions live on air. One more time, that number is 888-205-2263. And we, again, usually only have time for two or three of these, so get calling early if you want to make sure that we get to you. Mr. Lutsky, how are you today?
I am never better. How are you?
I'm okay. I had a bit of a science experiment that I was trying yesterday.
Yeah, you're into science?
I was trying to, so I was taking snails out of their shell to see if it would make them go faster because they lose that extra weight.
Yeah.
And it turns out it just makes them more sluggish.
Well, I get that.
So kind of a downer there. Todd, I want to talk about irrevocable trust today.
Yeah.
How many different kinds of irrevocable trusts are there? Because I hear people talk about them, and I know there are more than one. I know there's more than two even, but like, how many different kinds of irrevocable trusts exist out in the wild there?
So, obviously, I don't have a definitive number
Sure.
for you, but we can certainly talk about a few of them that are at least commonly used. We talk a lot about the Medicaid irrevocable trust, so maybe I won't spend a ton of time on that one. But there's also trusts that are designed to hold life insurance, like an irrevocable life insurance trust, and those actually come in two flavors, the first to die variety and the second to die variety. And what I mean by that is that the life insurance that you're putting in these irrevocable trusts are either on the life of an individual or on the lives of two individuals, which would be second to die.
What would be the use cases for each of those?
So in those cases, you're thinking, if I have a life insurance policy and it's causing my estate to be taxable. So this isn't for everybody. Right? Think about the size of your estate and whether or not it's causing a significant estate tax impact by having it. Example, I'm worth $4 million. Oh, but I forgot about my $2 million term life insurance policy that I have. Now I'm suddenly worth $6 million. Well, from a Massachusetts standpoint, now I have $2 million subject to estate tax because I can only shelter $4 million with basic estate planning for a married couple. All right, well, that might be a reason to do it. Or, more importantly, look federally, right? If your life insurance is causing you a federal estate tax, now you're looking at 40% hit on the life insurance, on the face value of life insurance. That's a big number. So I oftentimes say, look, why don't we set up a trust that can become the owner and the beneficiary of my policy? If I do that, now it's already income tax free, but you're converting it to become estate tax free by making it owned by this irrevocable trust. And that brings me to one of the differences between the Medicaid trust and this irrevocable life insurance trust. Clearly, control is a big difference. You have a lot less control over a life insurance trust than you do over a Medicaid trust. But once you put it in there, if it now, when you die, that face value, that money flows in there, estate tax free. That can be very, very helpful in your estate. So, and you can also add other stuff to it if you ever needed to.
Talking with Todd Lutsky from the law firm of Cushing and Dolan. If you have a question for Todd, this is your chance to ask. Studio lines are open at 888-205-2263. We do still have a little bit of room. So if you've got a question for Todd, make sure you call so that you can ask him. Again, that number is 888-205-2263. 2263. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, it's going to be right to your questions with Todd. That number again is 888-205-2263. Your questions when we return.
Ask Todd with Todd Lutsky every Wednesday at 10:30, only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. You're listening to Ask Todd with Todd Lutsky on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Talking with Todd Lutsky from the law firm of Cushing Dolan. Still have one more spot available if you've got a question for him at 888-205-2263. That number again is 888-205-2263. But let's go to our first caller, Norman in Portland. Norman, what is your question for Todd Lutsky?
I was wondering about the irrevocable trust. And it often gets mentioned that it's a Medicaid kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But my income is such that here in Maine, Portland, Maine, I have more income than I'll never qualify for Medicaid, I don't think. And I was wondering, is there another reason besides the Medicaid to have an irrevocable?
Well, first of all, there's many kinds of irrevocable trusts. So you're right. It sounds like, you've run the numbers and perhaps a Medicaid irrevocable trust isn't right for you. But depending on the size of your estate, you could get into these other irrevocable trusts, whether it be like a life insurance trust that we talked about during the beginning of the segment and how that can be designed to shelter assets from estate tax purposes. If you need to set up a gifting type irrevocable trust, you can do that as well. Again, designed to get assets out of your estate for estate tax purposes. But not knowing how much you're worth, those kinds of trusts might not be needed either. But you make a really good point for everybody else listening. And I've done this for clients too. They'll come in and they'll say, geez, I really want to protect my assets from the cost of nursing home care. And then I look and I see, either a combination of their investment income plus Social Security plus pension. And then they tell me they got a rental property generating rental income. And then, I look at all this income and I say, wow, you're really self-insured. And if you're self-insured, then maybe you don't need the Medicaid irrevocable trust. And again, they're not for everybody. And so sounds, Norman, like in your case, you're saying, look, I've got so much income coming in that even if I was to shelter all of my assets from the nursing home, I would be denied because I have way too much income. I totally agree. Not knowing your numbers, it can happen, folks. And that's part of the analysis that needs to be done. Then you say, you know what? I don't need the IRREV. Maybe I'll just set up a revocable trust estate plan, take care of the probate, the estate taxes, the bloodline planning. Or if I need more than that because my value of my estate is very large, well, then I can do the revocable trust coupled with some kind of a gifting trust. So great question, Norman, and I hope that helps for you. Please apply it to your situation. Excuse me. But folks, on that line, we just talked about potentially two different kinds of trusts: revocable, irrevocable, gifting, and irrevocable Medicaid trusts. Folks, there's many kinds of irrevocable trusts, many kinds of trusts in general. Call and get the guide this month. It's regarding demystifying the top 7 trusts for estate planning purposes. This guide will help you figure out which trust is right for you. So if you've never done your estate planning, this will help you figure out which way is right for you, which one might be right for you. It also deals with nominee realty trust. Please be wary of those. And maybe special needs trust if you have kids that maybe have a special needs situation. 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com. You can download the guide there. Again, top 7 estate planning trusts, 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com.
Todd, I've got another caller for you here. Let's go to Eric in South Hadley. Eric, what is your question for Todd Lutsky?
Hi, Todd. my father's in his mid-80s, and his wife's in poor health, and he has some extra cash on hand between $5,000 and $10,000 that he wanted me to put into a safe deposit box. They say at the bank that you're not supposed to put cash in there. And I'm just wondering what advice I could give him to keep that from, say, the nursing home look back if he ends up in one. He does have a will, but his wife has a previous marriage, and the things are going to be split, divided between her children and my children, and his children. So he's looking for an option, wants to give me cash as a gift. He also wants me to divide it up among my siblings, and I think he's afraid somehow that they're going to take a look at that and say he has cash that's unreported.
So let me. You said an awful lot really fast. So can I just slow you down a little bit? It's basically you've got your dad, who's now. You said he's got a second wife, or is he not married at the moment?
No, he is married. It is his second marriage. Yes.
And his health is such that you think he's going to actually head into a nursing home?
Actually, he's in good health.
Oh, okay.
I think he's fearful of that. He has a plan for nursing home care already. He already has, insurance for that. So
okay.
He's all set on his end of that, but he's afraid that there's some kind of a look-back period. He doesn't want the cash to be anything that's on the books.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. So he should then make sure his estate, if he's got good health, make sure his estate plan is in order. If it's the kind that needs protection from the nursing home, set it up. He's got a second marriage, right? So you might want to make sure that these assets are protected not only for his current spouse, but also in a way that they'll be left for his kids on his side of the family if that's what he and they want. So maybe protecting it is important, even if it's not an irrev. Even a revocable trust, if he's got enough long-term care insurance or he's got a nursing home plan in place, as you said, even a revocable trust might be in order to just make sure you've got good estate planning in place. But to your question specifically, if he starts giving you money, which he's allowed to do, it will create a 5-year waiting period for Medicaid eligibility purposes. No way to hide it. It's going to come out of the account. It's going to be deposited in your account. They're going to see it coming out of his account because they're going to look back 5 years when and if he ever applies for Medicaid, although you said that doesn't seem to be the issue. But I hope that at least addresses your concern.
Todd, I've got one more caller for you here. Let's go to David in Sandwich. David, we only have a couple minutes here, but what's your question for Todd Lutsky?
Hi, Todd. My mother has a Medicaid irrevocable grantor trust. I'm the trustee. 3 of my siblings are beneficiaries. My mother's asked me to give them money on occasion. Are there any tax implications? Do they have to file anything with the IRS?
Are you giving the money from the trust, or is your mom giving the money from her personal account?
From the trust.
So if it's a grantor trust, so it's like your mom is giving the gift. So one, the recipient, this is so confusing for a lot of people, and it almost is counterintuitive. The individuals who receive the money have no issue. It is not income taxable to them ever, and it's not gift taxable to them because they're the recipients. It's the giver. I know no good deed goes unpunished, right? It's the giver that has to pay the tax. So if the amount comes out of the trust from that trust is larger than $18,000 per year per person, then they need to file a gift tax return. Doesn't mean they're going to pay anything, but it means that they are going to have to file a gift tax return and eat into their a $13.6 million once-in-a-lifetime exemption. So they won't pay any, but they got to file. So really interesting that the giver is the one that has to pay it. And last comment, money coming out of the trust, probably the way to go, because if it comes out of the Medicaid trust, it will not create a new 5-year waiting period for mom. But if she gave it away out of her personal account, it would create that 5-year waiting period.
Todd Lutsky, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
This has been Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Ask Todd with Todd Lutsky has been presented by Cushing Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 30 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Call 800-393-4001 or visit CushingDolan.com. The views expressed in this segment are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Armstrong Advisory does not provide any legal or tax advice. Please consult with your legal or tax advisor on such matters. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder life planning and taxation. They know that every family is unique and that every estate plan must be different. Early planning is crucial if you want a stress-free retirement, and trusts are oftentimes the document of choice to help protect your assets. But with so many kinds of trusts, you need to learn about which one is right for your plan. Revocable and irrevocable trusts are most common, but there are several differences, as well as numerous tax implications with each. If you're ready to start your planning or need to refresh an existing plan, call Cushing Dolan and ask for their new guide called Demystifying the Top 7 Estate Planning Trusts. Learn how to protect your assets and potentially eliminate your estate taxes. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your guide today. That's 866-848-5699 or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.